I don't know. I don't like it. What do we got to have a meeting for? Let everybody else worry about their own business.
This meeting is how we're gonna survive.
Meet
ML Elric.
How you doing? Feel great. Never felt better.
A podcaster
with a problem.
Yeah, I got stress.
Based on everything, I'd say you had an anxiety attack.
I need you to find me a doctor, like a psychiatrist.
You asked it around, get your finger out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric, and I'm joined today by our special co-host Erica Erickson.
Hello.
By Mark Fellhauer.
Hey.
And looking very, very fetching in the Shawn Windsor chair is, of course, not Shawn Windsor.
Not Shawn Windsor.
No chance of that. What do you mean by fetching? Am I getting things? Is Dr. Well, not Doctor.
She likes to call her doctor.
Yes.
Okay. She's got enough credentials.
Julie Booksh, who is she's got some good advice on life, and I'm going to ignore all of it, which is never.
Well, you've already got life figured out. So
you got it all figured out.
What do you need advice for?
I use the Costanza method. I try and do the opposite of everything I think I should do.
Yeah.
And so far, I'm batting about 500. But
well, so it doesn't matter. You can do it the other way, and you'd still be 500 then.
Oh, damn.
If it's an XY, yeah, I'm just saying.
That's deep. While I contemplate that, I'm gonna pass the baton to Erica, who is
Julie,
booked our guest.
Roop Raj's wife. You're fiery. You're a therapist, marriage and family counseling, but you kind of have deviated a little bit, kind of doing your own thing, and you do it in a unique style that I really like. And one of the unique things that you do is you say, you know what? I think swearing is healthy.
It is.
Damn straight.
Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Without yelling.
It totally is. I mean, unless you're directing it at somebody in a place where maybe you.
So, where's Shawn?
Oh, like that cocksucker over there?
Where are you pointing?
No, see, it seems like in this environment, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But like if you had a boss at work and you went up to him and said, yeah, you're a big cocksucker, you might not last the rest of the day.
Wouldn't work out very well.
All right.
But you say just let it out in a healthy way.
Yes. I've had people tell me, I run groups, personal and spiritual growth groups, and at the end of one, a bunch of women were like, thanks so much for teaching us how to say fuck. And I was like, seriously?
Really?
I was like, seriously? That's all you got from this? And I was like, what do you mean? Because they were just more free with the word, right? And I said, but let's look at this. The reason, why are you thanking me for that? What you're really thanking me for is allowing you to have space and encouraging and inviting you to say what you really feel. All the stuff that we try to hold back because we have to look like we have our shit together. We push it away. When somebody, especially somebody who doesn't normally use the F word, starts dropping F-bombs, I know we're in. Like, we're in the real stuff that they've been holding back. I mean, it could be something really little. Like I've had people, and which is not really little, say at the beginning of a group or something, oh yeah, man, my back hurts. And I'll start to explore, well, what's going on with your back? And they kind of just pass, oh no, it's fine. It's not so bad. Fast forward 20, 30 minutes, the person's like, my fucking hurts. If I'm honest, it fucking hurts, So I'm like, well, why are you not being honest about how bad it hurts? Well, because I have to look strong and you shouldn't complain and all
Why do
this
we
stuff.
do that?
And I'm like, those rules don't apply here. That is just oppression in my mind. I'm oppressing all these parts of me that are feeling all these things, all these very wise things, by the way, and I can't show it because I have to look a certain way to the world.
So
I have to look like I have my
cursing
shit
is
together.
a safety valve. It lets steam off.
It can for a lot of people, and it does for a lot of people. And some people just aren't into it at all, and that's totally fine. They can let steam off without using swear words. I personally can't. But a lot of people can. But if I'm really pissed, it's coming.
You're in your car screaming and swearing.
Right, I am.
So is somebody who swears almost exclusively extremely enlightened, or is that the wrong way to go with this? where all you do is curse all the time,
Well, I think
whether or not
I'm
your fucking back hurts.
I'm extremely enlightened, so I'm going to go.
Uh-oh. All that time in the Navy, I guess.
No, right. Oh, I have a funny story about that. I have a friend that was like,
Remember, Roop's listening, so.
yeah, he's a friend of mine.
A friend.
No, yeah, a friend. Roop was with me. He knows the story.
Okay.
A friend
So
of
it was
mine.
Roop. It was Roop.
Trying to
That's
get him
good.
in
That's fine.
trouble.
Wait,
It was
are we gonna
Taryn.
get through this or what?
Yes. So you and Roop are in San Diego at the shipyard.
No.
Taryn shows up and starts cursing, and Jason says, "Bitch, shut up." Is that what happened?
What is happening over here?
I
that's
don't know
what I thought.
what is happening, but I'm trying to tell a damn story.
You sound very liberated. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I must feel pretty safe here. I
Yeah,
guess.
you must feel safe. I like it.
Now my ass is fucking hurting, but go ahead.
Yeah, right. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. It's good. I'm used to this from that side of the room. It's just usually from a bald guy.
Oh, well, I'm doing my best to represent Shawn. So,
Doing a good job.
we were at dinner, and a friend of mine was telling a story, and he said, you know, when I was back in this career, I used to swear a lot more. I said, oh, you mean like me? And he said, Julie, the entire U.S. Navy doesn't swear as much as you. And I said, thank you.
You took it as a compliment.
I did. To answer your question, now, I don't know if somebody who just swears, what did you say, ML?
They swear almost exclusively. It's like
Almost
that's their
exclusive.
language.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I swear almost exclusively. You know, I wouldn't say that. I have a vocabulary beyond swear words, I think.
Yeah.
And I can give talks and teach classes and do all that stuff, and I do without
Goddamn
swearing.
TED Talk, bitches. Yeah.
Right, which in that situation,
Salty tea, they call that.
you could swear at a TEDx talk. I should have. I didn't.
But there are some people who believe that when you curse a lot, it shows that you're limited, that your vocabulary is limited,
Well,
that
it's
your
lazy.
ability to express
Yeah, it can
yourself
be
is
really
limited.
lazy. Yeah.
Yeah, because instead of finding these adjectives like my back is aching or my back feels like it's been stabbed by 1,000 ice needles, you just like, my
Yeah.
back fucking hurts. And people are like,
No.
well, that doesn't really help.
No, you're
Well,
right. You're right about that. I
And
agree.
a good example is I've known plenty of people that have gone from broadcast where you can't swear to
Oh, God.
podcast and whatnot, and they over.
Well, Drew loves it.
But
He's
again,
like, I love dropping
it's
F words.
liberating,
but you know
too.
what? It's so much. I mean, this is not a whole broadcasting thing. It's better to try to not to because it can be a turnoff for other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And I
it's
mean,
lazy.
and those people aren't going to like my classes, and that's cool. That's cool. I'm not suggesting people should like it.
What kind of person?
When she says, you assholes can leave.
No, it's not like that.
No, oh, watch.
What kind of what kind of
misinformed.
people are scared to swear? Like what? I mean, what are the personality traits? Because I don't know anybody who's not afraid to throw an F bomb or you know.
Oh, I don't think that people are. Well, actually,
I mean, what kind of
maybe-
personality would be someone? Is it just someone who's just so straight laced?
I don't know. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've met people who they
If you grew-
refuse, and then they'll use strange words in place of them, not because they think it's disrespectful.
Which
just,
I
they
gotta
just-
say is so silly. I mean,
I know
the
it's a little awkward.
I will say this. Fuck. I mean, you can. That is just that it fits so many different ways, but you can get around not saying that. The one that's irreplaceable is bullshit. There's no good
Yeah,
backup word
yeah.
for bullshit. I know.
Especially in our
agree.
business,
some
right?
people
I
say
mean, it's all
baloney, but
bullshit.
baloney doesn't have the same punch as
I
bullshit.
know. I've tried crap before, and it still doesn't have
No.
the same punch. But to answer your question, I think that a lot of people who grew up in a lot of religious cultures, and a lot of women were told.
It's control.
Well, it is, but it's all control, but it doesn't change the fact that it's hard for some people. And I'm not saying they need to change that. I don't think there's a problem if you don't want to swear, you shouldn't. Fine, no big deal.
But if they feel like they can't.
Yeah, but some people, it's not about the swearing itself. It represents a bigger thing of feeling like I can't fully express myself, swearing or
permission?
not.
Yeah.
And a lot of women have been conditioned to
Act
think-
like a lady.
yes,
Yes.
it's not ladylike.
We should do that again.
So where's the line between being very free with the language
Yeah.
and being limited because all you know is curse words? I mean, is there a point where it tips, or is it?
Well, I think it depends on how it affects. I always want to go to relationships.
But
with
I feel
this.
like ML, you're focusing on the swearing, and she's talking about being liberated. So what's something that you felt like you couldn't do before that you do
Please,
now?
That guy.
Yeah.
You know, I used to
Look at him.
I used to.
That guy does whatever he wants.
No, about 20 years ago, I realized that every time I was trying to convey something that I was really upset about, which is pretty much all the time, I was dropping just like like a Dresden level bombing F loads.
Yeah.
And F bombs, and I realized after a while they kind of had like no effect, and today will be an exception, but I almost never use the F word. I try not to, partly because when I use it, I want people to be like, "Whoa, I guess
Right.
this is a big
Right.
deal,"
This is
as opposed
serious, yeah.
to, "Oh, this guy's fucking mad. He's always fucking mad. This guy's always fucking this and that." You know,
Right.
I don't want to be that guy, and so I'm trying to use it strategically. But I think the problem is people hear it so much, they're like, I guess he finally dropped one, whatever. We're still going to keep dicking around here. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
That's how
And then I use every other curse word like to the extreme. So the fact I don't use one very much probably undermines my whole approach, because they're like, well, this guy curses. I'm like, but I never use the F word. Like, yeah, but you use every other one.
That's how I parent.
Okay, sorry.
That's how
Yeah,
I parent. I don't
That's
swear. No.
that's the unsafe word, the F
So
word.
when I say it, I know they know I mean
No,
it.
that's actually.
I gotcha.
I'm just kidding.
No,
Actually,
but- no,
I'll
but
tell you the
growing
first-
up-
I can tell you the first time I swore
It's
in
like
front of my
DEFCON
kids.
1, right?
Elric, you'll remember this. Remember when J.J. McCarthy threw an interception on the third play of the Rose Bowl?
Oh.
First time I ever swore in front of my kids. Shit!
Sports
And then I
always-
looked at him and went, sorry.
right.
Anyway.
Right.
They were probably like, "Oh my god."
But
What's going on?
I have friends that openly just, talk and swear in front of their kids. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's really setting the best example.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But then pop culture enters their world.
Oh, it's a whole.
And I had to tell him, I have an 11-year-old, and I told her, I said, look, pop culture, you're going to hear it all the time. It's
Right.
just a way people express themselves, either rightly or wrongly. Because Taylor Swift swears in her
Yeah.
music. And I said,
Yeah.
you're not to use it to any adults because it's all about respect. And that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, she can swear. I don't care if she swears, but if she swears to me,
Yeah.
That's
well,
different.
and that's what I'm saying. I think, and kids are very capable of learning when one thing is appropriate and when it's not.
But if
Right.
you're swearing around them all the time, aren't they just going to,
Yeah.
it's normal talk.
Well, maybe, but I know parents who have said, my kids know that it's okay for me and it's not okay for them. Or it's okay for them at home, but it's not okay for them at school. Or certain words are okay, but other words are off limits. So everybody does it a little bit differently. But I think the thing is to know when it is appropriate. And what ML is saying, I always want to go to relationships. Like, how do you know where it crosses a line? How is it affecting your relationships? If I have a problem with a friend, a partner, a coworker, whatever, and the only way I can describe my problem is to use swear words or even call them names, then I'm not really clearly communicating what the problem is. And so that gets people into a lot of trouble, if you will. But like if I just say, "Oh, you're such a bitch." Well, I'm not telling you what really is bothering me.
No.
But if I'm saying I find that manipulative, or what you're doing feels very intrusive to me, now I'm identifying specific behaviors that the person and I can now talk about. I'm not saying you won't still have conflict, and I'm not against conflict. I think people need to learn how to conflict better. So what you're saying, ML, is true. Like, there is a point at which it's just not useful because it's not really saying anything. And it's not effective communication. And that's really important. When I talk about it, I'm using it for fun, for emphasis, for things like that. And again, to represent other things that are being held back. But what you're saying is a really good point, because it does get people in trouble, especially in relationships where there is conflict and they don't know how. And most of us were not taught how to clearly communicate what's going on.
I mean, words are words. It's all how you use them. I mean, a good example, and this is where it gets tricky, and maybe I kind of want your opinion on it. There's a lot that has been made about, we can say retard again, or we can say, I don't like either word.
I know. I can tell
I'll
you
say
didn't want.
faggot.
You didn't want to say any of those, but people
can openly
are.
say that now, and is that like, I feel like those two words are only used to try and hurt people, but unless you're talking about, say, an inanimate object that's broken down, like, that thing's retarded, right? I mean, nobody parses that anymore. What's your opinion on that?
What's the question? Is my opinion on whether those words should be used or not?
Yeah. I mean, is it ever okay to use? Well, I'll give you
Is
another
there
one.
context if you're referring to an object as opposed to a human being?
And this is why ethnic slurs are terrible, because they're only used to hurt the other person.
Right.
Right. I don't really have a place for that. Me personally, I don't think. I think there are certain words that have just done so much harm they'd be better left behind.
But does fucker do that, or cocksucker? I mean,
Well, again, it depends on your relationship. If I'm talking to Erica,
yeah.
She's not
So
going to
you could throw an ethnic slur at Erica.
No, not an ethnic slur.
I think because those don't have the
that's
same
different.
connotations.
Context.
Yeah, as
ethnic slurs are different than swear words.
But if somebody says, "Oh, you're being a fag,"
yeah,
right?
I think
Just
that's
kinda-
also different because it.
Yeah.
But they're not gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In 85,
But no-
okay.
but no-
2025,
And I think
becomes a cancel.
those words came back because so many people, quote unquote, got canceled or got in trouble for just calling their buddy
Yeah.
that or saying that,
Well-
not in a derogatory or hurtful way.
And-
I'm not putting up a fight for them, but
I know.
find it fascinating that no one ever looks at context for anything, and it's immediately let's cancel that thing.
Yeah. No,
Before
I
you guys
that.
get into it, I gotta run. I gotta go to work. I'm gonna.
Oh, you lazy asshole!
I know. I'm such a lazy asshole.
Erica's like, see you fuckers later.
Yes. Bye, fuckers.
Well, if you want to hear more of Erica, she will be on the bonus episode.
Yes.
And she'll be back. Keep listening.
Bye, Erica.
So
Way to interrupt my heavy question,
right?
by
This
the way.
is a good topic.
yeah, Erica's like, what are we calling people? I gotta go. It's
No, it's an important topic because certain words have been reclaimed by people in the LGBT
Queer.
oh yeah,
community.
queer is a
Right.
big one,
And
right?
they've taken that word back and given it their own meaning and owned it for themselves.
Well, in
a
hip hop,
healing
the
way.
N word is nobody's calling anybody the N word in hip hop because they want to denigrate them. It's just like this is people are bitches and
Right.
and there's N words and like. I'm not about to start rapping. I don't think it's going to work out so well for me,
Right.
but depending on who's saying it in the context, it's these death words are, they're almost like commas and exclamation points.
Yeah.
How big a deal is delivery and tone where, if you're like, I'll see you bitches later. And everybody's like, oh, we love you. You're great. And then,
Well, that
then
goes
you
to
sit
the
in the
whole-
wrong place. And the
that
whole
goes to the
bar is
whole-
like, we're kicking your ass right
Yeah,
now, pal.
exactly.
You're never going to make it to the parking
Doesn't
lot.
that speak to the whole canceling of people because people see a tweet and there's zero tone and very little context?
Well, you can
No,
do text
right.
effects where it explodes now. It's like, hey, bitches.
No, but I mean, people get in trouble with social media with
Yeah.
certain words.
Oh God, that's a whole different. Social media is
The
Well,
worst.
Yeah, it is in many ways. It brings out the worst because people are hidden.
Yeah.
And they say more than they probably would if they were sitting right in front of you, face to face. They might not feel so free. And part of it is, I guess they feel safer being that free behind a screen.
Yeah.
But
Keyboard heroes, man,
yeah.
there's
yeah, exactly.
the trolls. They feel brave as hell until you run into them, and then they're like, oh, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah. And I think that with all, again, racial slurs are a different category to me than swear words.
Yeah.
Those are two totally different things. But if I'm just going to talk about swear words, it's again going to depend on the relationship. Like we've got to be able to hear from people, hey, when you do that, I don't like it. And depending on the relationship, it's going to depend on where that conversation goes. We have to be able to hold ourselves accountable in our relationships. Now, most of us in close relationships, swearing's probably not a big deal. But if it is, for some people, it might be a deal breaker because maybe it represents a bigger problem, meaning this person is always wanting me to not be this, and this, and this, and those things are who I am. So you can get into unfolding stuff like that.
That
But
could almost be like grammar. I mean, I know people that would never date somebody that has poor grammar.
yeah, maybe so. Right. So it's very relational.
fussy.
Yeah, really fussy. I don't think I would last in that relationship.
I
I'm not sure
cannot
about my
date
grandma.
you. You can't date me. No, I cannot, and that's precisely why. Good day, sir.
Right.
It's like, yeah, beat it, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Beat it, bitch. That's hilarious.
Or asshole, whatever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So do people get sent to you because they need this therapy? I mean, how does somebody know that your approach is going to help them live a better life? I mean, are there therapists out there saying like, you really seem like you need to curse a blue streak, and I'm just not reaching you. But Julie can get you cussing like a Marine.
Yeah.
So here's a referral, and make sure that you tell her, fuck you very much.
I would say that the swearing has nothing to do with why people come to me like that.
Just a part.
Tool. I think that just comes out when I'm teaching or when they're telling me something and I will, maybe they're telling me about an issue they're having and I'll go, holy crap, what the fuck? And they're like, whoa, they're not used to a therapist. I'm not going to do that.
It's kind of an icebreaker in a way.
I'm not. Well, first of all, they're seeing my response and a lot of people, a lot of therapists, and this is changing. We were conditioned to not show our response very much, to not be surprised by anything. And there is value in that. But when it gets to the point where we're not showing any part of us, then I feel like that's not effective in the therapeutic relationship. But to answer your question, why people come to me, people usually end up in my space or in my classes or whatever, because I'm not trying to fix you. A lot of people have been to this therapist or this kind of healer and that kind of healer and tried this protocol and did all of these things, all of which can have tremendous value, but they're so tired of trying to fix themselves. They're so tired of all these things are wrong with me. And my approach is, no, they absolutely are not. Those things are right about you. And I want to help you discover the wisdom in those things. I'm not saying they're fun. I'm not trying to minimize pain or different ways we suffer, but I help people suffer in a way that's more loving and caring rather than let's just hurry up and fix this, because I find that shaming. And so that's how people usually make their way to me. That
seems to me to be the biggest difference between men and women. And I'm sure you've probably heard this before where it's like, the guy, if a woman comes and starts complaining about something, the guy immediately wants to fix it. I mean, that's kind of how I am. If there's a problem, let's fix it. And I don't know why it's that way. And frankly, I don't, it's hard just to hear somebody talk about their problems or whatever, whomever it is, be it a spouse or, coworker. It's like, I don't want to hear you complain about it. Let's just fix it. Like, why is that a fault of mine? Because I want things just to get fixed to move on.
Well, you have to ask your wife if that's cool.
I'm not saying I didn't say my wife. I said,
people.
It could be a coworker, like someone who, is constantly late to a show.
Oh, hey, I'm right
What's
here.
What's going on? How do we fix Elric?
No, so it could be.
Right here, MF.
It could be. It doesn't
I'm not comfortable enough to use the word.
Right. It doesn't mean it necessarily is. In many ways, that's probably valuable in many settings where you immediately want to get to the fix. But if it starts to disrupt a relationship where, man, I feel like you don't listen to me, you don't hear me, that's different. See, these general...
But you do hear the person.
Yeah, but not if you don't, if they're telling you don't. Right? If they're saying, I don't feel like you're hearing me, then chances are you might not, or there's something that they haven't been able to communicate where they're not feeling heard. So it again, I try to get away from generalizations as much as possible because there are lots of women who do the very same thing. A child or a spouse. Sometimes we're just overwhelmed. We want to hurry up, throw a fix at it. So I've heard that complaint from men just as much as women.
Interesting.
So I try to pull back from those generalizations, but also get to the deeper thing where we live, again, in a culture that does not teach us how to have any real presence with each other. It is all about hurry up and fix.
Have you seen the show Shrinking?
Yes.
So great.
And that's all about sort of trying to do things in a different way and a more I guess, controversial approach to therapy. Do you consider yourself to be a therapist like that, where you're doing something that is not common, that people may debate the merits of, but you're like, hey,
whatever works.
The way people have been doing it isn't getting a solution, so I'm throwing this out here and seeing if it makes a difference.
I think in the mainstream, yes. In the therapy world, maybe still yes, but not as much. So in the mainstream, I think, Well, actually, now I'm thinking I might flip that. In the therapy world, they might think I'm more controversial. The mainstream might not know the difference. So it's probably a little bit of both. I'm not like Shrinking where, I have a client that I'm inviting to live in my house. No, I'm not getting that controversial.
Telling somebody to dump their abusive boyfriend and then she shoves him off a cliff or something.
Although I could have a whole session about that episode, about getting into what I would call the dreaming of her wanting to push him off the cliff, but making damn sure that we're not talking about actually doing it.
Sure.
I'd still not take any long walks in the Grand Canyon.
Wait, you don't? Wait, say it again.
I'm advising Roop not to take any long walks in the Grand Canyon, just in case. I don't know. I love Roop, and I just want to make sure that he's safe at all times.
Yeah, he is. I promise. And you can, and don't let me speak for him. You can ask him yourself. One of the biggest things in our relationship, as I think it should be in any relationship, is how to create emotional safety. And so you're talking about physical safety, which is very, very important too, but people sometimes don't understand what emotional safety is. And, if it's physically safe, then it's safe. Well, emotional safety is a big deal. So we like to try to make sure that we feel safe having our emotions. And especially if we feel like the other one's trying to hurry up and fix, we know how to call that out in each other.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm not looking for that right now. And one of us might be like, well, okay, I can't really hear this right now, but how about like tomorrow? It depends on what the issue is. So there's a lot to unpack in that. But no, I'm not pushing anybody off the Grand Canyon. Nope, not
I'm
not
starting to worry
happening.
about Teresa.
Yeah, I know, right? He's the one that keeps
Exactly.
Worried about Teresa. I'm worried about
He's
me.
the one.
I don't even like to take her for a walk on a dock. She's just like, hey, is it a fish down there? I'm like, what do you mean down there?
No, further.
Yeah,
Further
no
down.
way. Yeah, it's like, maybe if you lean over a little further. I got you. I'm like, I'm not sure you do. So Julie, before we let you go, tell us what kind of difference your approach can make and what people tell you after they've had, is treatment the right word? Is this something where you go so many times or?
No.
No.
I usually don't even see people most of my work now is in the form of classes and groups.
Okay.
But what people tell me, I've had people tell me, you're teaching me a whole different language that I didn't know existed. And what they usually mean by that is, again, this idea of the thing that I think is wrong with me carries intelligence, whether it's my body symptoms, whether it's emotional things that are difficult, whether it's relationship conflicts, that those things aren't just problems to solve, but they carry the seeds of solutions. And when we just look at them as problems to solve and we don't look at them as, wow, well, what's actually really right about this, then we miss the wisdom that's trying to emerge. And so people are usually, you can kind of see their brains like scramble a little bit, like, whoa, what are you saying? You're inviting me to tell you more about my anger? You're not just going to tell me how to fix it? Well, no, I think anger carries a certain amount of power with it. And a lot of people who have trouble with anger need to learn how to have their power more. The anger might open the door for that. So those things, I think I really flip the status quo on its head. And I think it really surprises people at first. And these are the things that tell me, Julie, I wasn't working on anything physical, but I feel physically better after one of your classes. And it's usually because I'm giving people permission to say, there's nothing in this space right now. We're not working to change you. I'm working to know you more and to help you know you more and to help you not turn away from often what are your gifts that you've been told are not, you've been told are flaws. And when you start to understand that the things that you think are your flaws actually are partially your gifts, that's a game changer. So people are usually really surprised about the whole paradigm that I see through. I'm not seeing through a critical diagnostic paradigm. I'm trying to see through the most loving eyes possible, which means I trust the emotions that come up in people. I trust them and I get behind those emotions so that we can unfold them more, that we can integrate them in a way that's more useful for people in their life.
So we've talked about the emotion of anger.
Yes.
But if that is something you consider your flaw, like maybe you have a quick temper
Yeah.
or you shout a lot.
Yes.
And then somebody tells you that's really your gift. do you feel like you're encouraging people
Yeah.
to perhaps be more angry and maybe
That's just who I am.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, I yelled at you assholes, and my doctor said I could call you an asshole because you're a piece of shit.
I mean,
and
the
I can use
pendulum
that
could-
word too,
the
and I'm really
pendulum could-
angry, and that's what makes me so great. And they're like, boy, none of that made me feel better.
Yeah. This is why some people might think that what I'm saying is controversial, but again, I am not saying that learning how to be conscious and aware of your anger gives you permission to go treat people like shit.
Okay.
I'm not saying that at all. I am saying when you are with me, we're going to look closer at things, and doing so is going to help you express yourself in more healthy ways in
Okay.
your relationships.
So time and place.
Right. Exactly. But
Okay.
even in a lot of therapeutic relationships, though, the person is immediately met with, okay, how are we going to fix this? So I'm immediately joining the person in this is wrong with you. And there's like a shame in that, which does not help people. So I want to kind of remove that and say, listen, anger is a natural human emotion. I don't want to marginalize it. I want to understand it more in you. I want to understand what in you feels like you have to tell the doctor, oh, screw you, whatever. Like, tell me about that part of you.
Yeah.
And let's explore it. And that actually helps people in their relationships rather than I have this anger thing. It's just wrong with me. I got to get rid of it.
Okay.
Well, no, I want to know the angry part of you more, and I want to help it express itself in ways that are useful to you and your relationships.
What about anger that's like, say, not part of a relationship? Because I mean, it kind of, everything's political now. So it kind of goes to politics. And I see people that are so angry or even worried about things that they cannot control.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. And it's on like both sides of the spectrum, right,
Yeah.
left. Because I
Yes.
feel like it's mainly fringes of these political parties. And they just get so angry. And I'm like, but that has nothing to do with you or that issue or this. Like, I don't,
Well-
like, it doesn't compute to me. And I don't know how you help people like that.
Well-
or just, it's almost like they want to be angry about something.
Well, and I have several things to say about this.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, it's kind of
I might not help people like that, meaning they're not coming to me for help. The people that are coming to me are like, Julie, I really want to go through like deeper self-discovery. I've been on all these paths and I keep just kind of bumping up against the same thing. But I don't think it's true that certain things have nothing to do with them. Meaning, I think that things that happen in politics mirror things that happen in our relationships. And sometimes we don't feel safe in our relationships to express our anger, but we can do it on a social media platform about a politician easier. So again, it's a deeper awareness of what's going on inside of me and following my own process, whether it's anger or sadness, but right now we're going to talk about anger. What is it about this person, this politician, say, that drives me so mad? I need to know that. Potentially, I have some of that person inside of me that's doing that to me. I have part of me that's oppressing another part of me. I need to get into that and work that out. Or a lot of times, and this is the less popular or the less known, when somebody really disturbs you, sometimes it's because you need a little bit of that. And you're marginalizing it. You would never let yourself say those things, so you say nothing. But you need to learn how to express yourself.
Well, I've always felt it's always a little bit good to be offended every once in a while by something, just to kind of know where your baseline is.
You're awake, you're alive, you're paying attention.
Do you find, because there's been such a big explosion in self-help and therapy and just awareness, which is a good thing. It's hard to argue against. I think it's more good than bad if the people that, if it helps people, why not?
Right.
But a lot of times I feel, I kind of lost my way. A lot of times I feel like people then maybe use it as an excuse or kind of find their way. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just feel like maybe there's a negative to this whole idea of self-help to the point where it's like we're trying to get rid of everything bad.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I was going. Like everything bad, and I don't want to be offended, and I need a safe space. And these universities have safe spaces, which tend to bother people that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
do you
agree
see that
with
negative
that.
side of it?
I do, and I think my approach speaks to that. I am not against conflict, right? So
Yeah,
anything
so much-
that disturbs us, we got to go hurry up and get rid of it. Absolutely not. We need to have more presence, awareness, and skill around that. And, self-help has been an evolution. I think what you're saying is absolutely true. And hopefully we're starting to see it evolve into I disagree that, let's take something like spirituality. The more calm and zen you are, the more spiritual you are. I disagree completely with that. I don't think that that's true. So I think it's important to be able to hold a container for disturbances that let us understand things at a deeper level. That is what we are so gravely missing. We want to stay here with everything, and there's so much more happening underneath there that we're not skilled to talk about enough. And we need so much more of that. Let's go further with this. Let's not hurry up and turn away and fix it and treat it as bad. That's exactly what I was saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's too surface, and it's not teaching us how to have conflict in ways that really create change.
I could see where somebody comes in and you find out the reason why they're angry all the time is because they're very passionate, which I think would be,
Yes.
if you looked at it as passion rather than anger, that would be in some ways an admirable trait. But what if somebody comes in and says, I'm just happy all the time? You say, get the hell out of here, you knucklehead.
Well, actually, I
You
don't.
still charge them.
I don't think they're coming to me if they're happy all the time. Right? They're not showing up, right? And maybe those people exist. I'm sure that they do. But that's not who's showing up in front of me.
Can I make a referral to you on behalf of our colleague Shawn, who's not here?
Oh, geez.
Can we get him a session?
Sean's
I
a
have
very
to
happy
meet
guy.
Shawn.
He's a very happy guy.
Inside, he's happy. We just need to
Inside.
unleash that. We need to tell him, Shawn, it's okay to be happy.
okay to be
let
happy.
that joy pour out of you like a fountainhead.
Well, I have a class on my website. It's actually a free webinar called Rethinking Happiness, Connecting More Deeply with Your Soul. Because again, to what you were saying, Mark, a lot of self-help is about being happy-dappy all the time. And like, if you're not, there's something terribly wrong. We are not supposed to be happy all the time.
no.
We are part of nature. And if you watch anything in nature, you see it flow and ebb and change. That's who we are. And so I love the analogy you used about how anger and passion can be confused. And that's what happens. People are like, my passion is too much. People tell me I'm angry. So they marginalize their passion along with their anger. Or they marginalize the thing in them that wants to draw a boundary. Anger often comes up because I feel like I'm being harmed. Well, the last thing I want to do is help you get rid of your anger, because that's the thing that's waving the flag of, hey, this hurts.
Yeah.
But what if it's someone who's not really going to be harmed by it? It's just a perception.
Well, then I want to work on I want to work on understanding their perception, because maybe there's something even inside of them.
I just feel like a lot of people get angry over perceived harm.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we could have a whole talk about that. Like
We
that,
can't
that
solve
could be-
this in an hour. I'm
No.
about fixing things.
We can't-
That's what I'm
no,
about.
Right. No, and I'm about deepening understanding.
Yeah,
Well, it's funny
Slowing
because
down.
you talk about Shawn and how he seems unhappy but inwardly he's a very, and I'm the same way, because a lot of people will mistake like contentness for being upset about something.
Exactly.
No, I'm existing. I'm fine. Everything's great.
That's what I mean. If I'm not happy and posting everything on
Yeah.
social media about how great my life
Doesn't mean
is,
I'm pissed off. Well, that's kind of, Elric's heard me bitch about how nuance is dead, because everything is just one
yes,
or
and
the
that's
other.
a huge problem.
And
I myself,
You're either
like,
angry or you're happy. It's like, no, I'm just here.
I'm just here. It might not seem like it right now, but I'm a big introvert. Like, I
Yeah.
love being at home.
Me too.
I don't like going places very often. It takes a lot. I'm a sensitive person, so being with a lot of people takes a lot of energy out of me. And I used to think that that was a problem. And because, oh no, you should want to be social all the time and blah, blah, blah. And like, that's cool if that works for you. But I want to be at the park with my husband and my dog, or on my couch, or cooking, or whatever. I don't always want to be in front of people. And if that makes me seem like I'm unhappy, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, and if it's what makes you happy, then that's the important thing.
Exactly. And my happy isn't like high, happy, like I'm so high up here.
Yeah.
I'm content. I feel satisfied. I like where I am.
Well,
And
it's one of those things where I often think that that we see people sitting alone having lunch, and some days I'm like, I wish someone would come sit with me, and other days I'm like, I hope nobody comes and bothers me.
exactly.
Because I am just chilling and thinking about
Exactly.
shit, and I don't want to burden a conversation or anything like that. But if you're having trouble finding what your happiness is, or you just want to get some interesting curse words, we recommend Julie Booksh. Julie, thanks for joining us. I'm interested to see how you're going to say goodbye to us. Like, I'll see you assholes later or something. But or is that how the sessions is? Like, you bastards go out there and have a great
All right,
life, or-
motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, this is always. I'm going to drive home today, and I'm going to be thinking about this all the way home, because this is what happens inside of me when you're with me. A lot of people, like, it feels like a sacred space. I am like this sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, okay, let's slow down. Let's connect more deeply with our body. I want things to have time to breathe. So I'm not talking this fast as I am today. So I am very much both of those things. I am very much, the biggest compliment people give me is, Julie, you are so safe to be around. And it's not because I'm yelling and screaming or I'm swearing. I mean, I don't yell and scream, but I'm swearing. That's not, although that might contribute to why people feel safe around me. I'm not just this proper sit there, like, let's just be reserved and keep it all together and do. I'm against that in many ways. So I have this inner diversity that I am more than one thing. And you see that when you're with me, that I have this very mothering part, if that's what someone needs, and this very gentle, merciful. I mean, a big part of my thing is like, how do you call out your inner critic and develop an inner loving witness? You'll see both of those in me, the part that wants to call it out and the part that really wants to witness deeply your experience. So I'm always like, oh, and is the swearing thing being emphasized too much? Because that's not at all what I do.
Right.
But it's fun. People think it's funny. I don't know why.
Well, there was an article recently about Julie in the Free Press that called her the therapist that swears by profanity to fight off self-doubt.
Yes.
And Julie Booksh, in addition to being an honored guest, is a licensed professional counselor, teacher, and healing guide. You may know her as the wife of Roop Raj, who I've never heard swear. So maybe he needs a couple of sessions, or maybe he's just that super happy dude, because he seems pretty happy whenever I see him.
That's because of you.
Well,
That's sweet.
I bring joy to everybody except
do.
my co-hosts, unfortunately.
I'm learning that today.
But yeah, no, this has been a revelation, a fucking revelation. Julie, where can people find out more about what you do and maybe reach out to you and see how to take one of your classes or get involved?
Instagram, Facebook, my website, juliebooksh.com. I have free resources on there.
Okay.
You can join my newsletter. And I actually have a class in Birmingham coming up in a couple of days at the clubhouse, Danielle's Clubhouse. And if you're interested in that, you'll find that on my Instagram too.
Okay, so check out Julie. Thanks for joining us. And we will be back with another great episode with Erica soon. She's left us to do some news at Channel 4. And if you listen to our bonus episode, you'll know if she sends you a message, you better get back to her right away.
But that's a sin to say the Lord's name in vain. But you don't even have to say something that terrible. You can go to hell just for saying Jesus Christ with a tone in your voice. It's all the tone in your voice. That's the weird part. It's very subtle sin, because you can say Jesus Christ, you're fine. But if you say Jesus Christ, you go to hell forever just for saying it like that. There must be at least one dude who was right on the line, who was like, Jesus Christ. And then he was in hell. He's like, seriously? For that? That's it? Seriously? It was a huge pumpkin. What, was I going to not say anything? It's one of the top 10 commandments. It's in the 10 commandments to not take the Lord's name in vain. Rape isn't up there, by the way. Rape is not a 10 commandment. But don't say the dude's name with a shitty attitude. I think it's so unfair, though, to send people to hell for saying Jesus Christ, because it's just too satisfying. I don't know why that is, but it just feels good. Oh, Jesus Christ! It just feels good. cleans you out. I don't know why. Whether you're angry or in pain or having sex or all three at the same time. What did folks say before that dude? How did anybody express themselves in a big moment before Jesus? Even the people that knew him. How did the people watching him be crucified, what could they even say watching that happen? They're like, that is bananas.
Just like Jill said, it's all about tone.
Yeah.
It's all.
I love that piece.
Also, not one of the commandments, jerking off in front of comedians who are looking for a leg up in their career.
Yeah,
so
no,
Lewis,
that's the whole treat others, right?
Lewis, there's a few flaws in Lewis's life.
It still makes me laugh, though.
And you know that movie American Hustle. I loved him in American Hustle.
Oh, where
he was the straight-laced FBI guy who always knew that Bradley Cooper was way off the reservation, and then everybody's like, "We love Bradley Cooper, we love," and then everything fell apart. He's like, "Oh yeah, who saw this coming?" You know, it's good old Louis C.K. But you know who else sees things coming? He doesn't know how the market's going to go up or down, but he sees a way to get you to a better tomorrow, and that's our friend Luke Nowacki. March Madness may be over. In fact, it is over. There's no debate there. But Market Madness might be here for a while, and that is one of the truest things you'll ever hear. If you're having concerns over how the recent turmoil in the investing landscape could impact your plans and your goals, call or text Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748. He may not have the answers, but at least you can be confused together. And if you call or text Luke at 248-663-4748, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. Member FINRA-SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
So I never thought I would feel sorry for any member of the Sanders family.
Oh, Dion's family?
Yeah. Coach Prime. But it's tough not to feel sorry for Shedeur Sanders when he gets a phone call expecting to be a first-round draft pick. His number's already been retired at the university where...
Which is ridiculous.
Is he still finishing up classes? I can't say for sure. But he drops out of the first line. If you don't know, he's an incredibly talented athlete, great quarterback at Colorado. Maybe a first-round pick. Certainly, he and the coach Prime thought he would be a first-round pick, and he drops out of the first round. And then, out of the blue, he gets a phone number. And I believe the NFL gave these guys special phones, or they had special phones.
I think so, yeah.
So that no one else would know it except for the GMs and the people who are going to draft you. And he gets a phone call from a guy who says, "Hey, how's it going? Mickey Loomis here, general manager, New Orleans Saints." He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "You've been waiting a while, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, love to come to New Orleans, it'd be great." He's like, "You have to wait a little longer." Turns out he got pranked by some asshole, and Jill says I can say that. It's okay.
Well, the guy was being an asshole.
And it turns out that this guy got Shedeur's number because his dad is a coach with the Atlanta Falcons.
The defensive coordinator. You know what? It turns out, too, and Shedeur Sanders was live streaming his whole day, which is why people saw this and heard about it. You know there were other players that were prank called, too?
No.
And they don't know if it was the same guy doing it. But Mason Graham.
Oh, yeah. Who actually went into number 5, right?
Overall to the Browns.
By the way, Michigan still sucks. It's a corrupt program, but 3 picks in the top 13.
Yeah. Should have been 4, but
pretty impressive. So why didn't they win more games? No, but I want to.
They didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, that's right.
Come on.
I want to praise Michigan. Pretty friggin' impressive draft class.
So the next Aaron Donald, Mason Graham, drafted by the Browns, and he was prank called, and so was Tyler Warren, the tight end.
They must have called him pretty early, right? Because when you're pick number 5, you better call him.
Is that much of a prank?
Yeah, the minute the draft starts.
But Tyler Warren, I think, went like 15, the tight end from Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that stud. He was prank called as well.
He's the only guy who caught passes for Penn State, by the way.
Yeah. No, so, but it, I wonder if there were other players, too, and we just know about Shedeur because all the focus was on him. and he was live streaming it. But I wonder if this dick was just doing this to a bunch of players. Look, I don't like Shedeur Sanders, but I don't know, that kind of bothered me.
Yeah, no,
really bothered me.
These guys are all going to be okay, but this is a day their family's around. When your name isn't called and you think it should be, you're starting to worry, and just this guy's a 21-year-old smartass. I thought that his dad would be done. I would have thought he got the old man fired. But Mark, you said that he's already in the clear?
Yeah, the NFL, according to Adam Schefter, said that there's not going to be any penalty for him because you're not responsible for the sins of your kid. If you were, Andy Reid wouldn't be a coach, right?
Yeah, well. And if Adam Schefter said it, it's true because I think he just adds his byline to whatever the NFL says.
Exactly. Exactly. He's their spokesperson.
So anyways, fake Mickey Loomis, smart ass, you are our Geek of the Week. First round draft geek, too.
If there's an all-night party in room 7609. Got the time.
Welcome to Room 7609, where we love your requests, your selections, your suggestions, but most of all, we love your stories. And Mr. Magoo, who delivers some of the best graphics in all of podcasting, also has some great stories and some great selections. And this part of our show is brought to you by the Caju Cafe. If you're listening on Tuesday, get to the Caju tonight for Key Francis. Wednesday, it's karaoke. Thursday, the Bill Meyer Group Trio and the longest-running open jam jazz session in Detroit. On Friday, Steve Deli is playing, the Steve Deli Band. Saturday, it's Winds of Neptune and the Hourlies. Sunday, it's the Mark Lipson Quartet. Monday, Tasha Owens and the Stable Dudes Open Jam. And, of course, it's Muscle Madness. All you can eat mussels and lots of other Belgian delicacies and all kinds of good foods for people who don't really care that much about Belgian stuff. You will be satisfied. Heart, body, mind, and soul, tastes, sounds, every one of your senses will be energized by going to the Caju Cafe. To find out more about this great place, go to cajucafe.com. And they're the ones who make this missive from Mr. Magoo possible. Hey, ML, it's your old pal, Mr. Magoo, with another Room 7609 suggestion. It's a pretty weird one, and here it is. It's the Inbreds, which he says reminds him of me, which is a little scary, with any sense of time.
Don't back down like you always do. The time to speak out is long overdue. Why complain, but yet brush his mane? He's a cram, surely you're no tramp, but you don't. Just laugh, then you call him a man. You just laugh, then you call him a man. You just laugh, then you call him a man. You just laugh, then you call him a man, but you don't have any sense of time, but you don't have any sense of time, but you don't have any sense of time, but you don't.
this is a big week for two-person bands. The White Stripes just inducted or will be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I always kind of had a little thing for Meg White, but I never quite understood what the gimmick was where we're brother and sister instead of husband and wife.
That's a hook.
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know. Anyways, like the itty bitty Partridge Family. I'm not sure. But Magoo says, back on April 15th, Mark mentioned he could only think of a few two-member bands. Black Keys, great band. Which made me think of a now defunct Canadian band, the Inbreds. It's kind of nice to have them here as representatives of the 51st state. You might find them of particular interest as you and your family have something in common with the Inbreds.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, be careful what you say next, Magoo, because I thought we were friends. And no, I'm not referring to some twisted branches within the Elric family tree, but rather your fondness for the four-string and your brother being the chief proprietor, and actually the only employee, of Elric bass guitars, as the Inbreds were a bass-centric band. The band consisted of Mike O'Neill on vocals and bass guitar, along with Dave Ulrich on a basic drum kit. Now, while that may seem somewhat of a mundane pairing and limited from a musical perspective, such was not the case. What made the band unique and interesting was that O'Neill played the bass in an unconventional manner. He played it more like a six-string guitar, playing full chords along with single notes that create a deep, resonating, melodic sound that reverberated throughout St. Andrews Hall, where I was lucky enough to have heard them perform back in '95 when they opened for Buffalo Tom. You know who else plays the bass guitar like a lead instrument is Peter Hook of New Order. Yeah. And you've seen him at St. Andrews or Royal Oak Music Theater, any place. It's amazing to see that bass out for the Magic Bag, just driving the melody. The Inbred song Any Sense of Time, which is about a woman being implored to leave a guy who has been treating her badly, quickly became one of my favorite songs from the 90s alternative music renaissance. Maybe it will resonate with you and your minions too. Peace out, Magoo. Magoo, you've done it again. That's a great story and a great band.
I've never heard of them. I kind of want to dig into this band now.
Me neither. They're good. I like them.
Well, it says they were active, in like this would have been my high school, college years. How did I not know about this band?
Yeah, Buffalo Tom, I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
I know there was one song that got some college radio play that I don't remember. But the Inbreds, that's pretty good. And maybe it's closer than it should be to my family, but I don't want to talk about that. It's a very sensitive topic, Mr. Magoo. Thank you for bringing that up, son of a bitch. Okay. But we love to get your suggestions. Please send your song and your story to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. That's also where we'd like you to send your feedback. But first, we want you to send your money. You can go to mlsoulofdetroit.com, hit PayPal, hit Venmo, send us some cash. Or better yet, become a soulmate. That's the group that Erica named. I think I had the Soul Patrol, and she's like, "No, we're going to do a soulmate." I said, "Okay, good call. Whatever you say." She knows what she's doing, and that's where you can give us as little as $5 a month. You get the show before everybody else. You get to watch the show. You get our bonus episode, which we just recorded for more with not Dr. Jill Bush and talking about
not doctor
communication. Yeah, she's like, "I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but you are a healer." And Erica has, let's just say Erica has a problem. And Dr. Jill puts her on the couch. It's not as creepy as it sounds or as hot as it sounds, and tries to help her and all of us reach our true best self. And not by cursing. That's the therapy she gave you guys today. And you also get that bonus episode. You get an exclusive opportunity to hang with us on August 1st at the Caju Cafe. We're going to have some gifts for all the soulmates who come out and some other special things. So mark that Friday on your calendar. The King's English and Shasta Fox will be playing. So that's going to be a great time. And then I think it's time for a little feedback. Mark, do we have any super groovy feedback music brought to you by Max Prokop, who plays the bass like a virtuoso, and also I think bends the sixth string a little bit with one of his many bands, and he'll be performing on August 1st. Our feedback is from Hannah, who didn't quite get this to us on time last week. She says, "Was so busy on Easter, just read your Sunday column this morning. Can you expand on today's podcast. Well, this week, by the way, I wrote about Wayne County and a whistleblower claiming that there's widespread corruption in Wayne County. People
That's a good
being
article,
paid
yeah.
under the table, contracts given to people who aren't doing any work, checks going to dead people where their living relatives are cashing them. And if this guy's telling the truth, there's something rotten in Wayne County. And he also got discriminated against because he's a gay man. So there's all kinds of stuff in there. And perhaps the part of that column that resonated the most with folks inside Wayne County government was that he says Wayne County Executive Warren Evans' wife, First Lady Renata Seals Evans, had told him, are you going to sue the county? Because if you are, we're police and we can find out anything about you. Again, it's an allegation. The county said that he wasn't discriminated against. They didn't address the claims of public corruption. And the spokesman was smart enough to say, I ain't going to say anything about the executive's wife. But I've heard from some people who have a lot of dealings with Wayne County who say Warren Evans' wife is out of control. And if you read my column, you'll find out about a former lover of the county executive who was also out of control and cost him his job as the chief of police in Detroit. So a lot of good stuff in there last week. This week, that's this week. Last week, I wrote about Mike Duggan and how the Democrats have, he says the Democratic Governors Association are spending $3 million to dig into him and to smear him. Now, the Democratic Governors Association says, well, we're not going to comment on what we're doing in this case. But why doesn't Mike Duggan just shut up and give up the records? And my colleague Dana Afan at the Free Press is following that story. So anyways, I wrote about, if you're going to dig into a mayor, maybe you want to ask for those records after he's not mayor anymore. Because if he says, hey, what did they find on me? Oh, shit, that's not good. Maybe you don't give it up. But what do I know about politics? I got my ass kicked when I ran for city council. Anyways, free advice from a loser, which is worth exactly what you paid for it. All an around the bend way to set up Hannah's email. Was so busy on Easter, just read your Sunday column this morning. Can you expand on today's podcast? Democratic Governors Association is directly and or indirectly fueling Duggan's independent gubernatorial run? Not sure about that. If yes, Duggan wins. What is at the top of... Dan Gilbert, sorry.
Oh, Gilbert's
Dan
funding
Gilbert
it. Gotcha.
funding it.
Okay.
If so, what is at the top of Gilbert's wish list? Well, I would think...
Whatever he asks for, he seems to get until the RENCEN.
The good times... But I think you're right, Mark. I think those tax credits for the RENCEN is a big thing. And, they've talked about
Do you think he would get that if Duggan was governor?
I think he's going to get that without Duggan.
Do you really?
Governor, frankly. Yeah. In fact, I think he's going to get it before Duggan's governor. Because nobody knows how to say no to this guy. And when they come in there and say, we can't make it work, we can't make it work, we can't make it work, everybody says, okay.
It's not our problem.
Well,
Why is it our problem if he can't sell or redevelop the RENCEN? I don't care if they tear that thing down. I want him to tear it down.
I think having a riverfront view that the whole city can see is, and as far as landmarks go, visual landmarks, we got a Pringles can wrapped in foil.
So what? Landmarks can change.
Ain't that special? Yeah. I think losing the hotel rooms would be tough for the convention business, but they'll build more.
Yeah.
So the argument is, well, if we can't do something, these properties are basically useless. Well, J.C. Reindl, my colleague at the Free Press, who's been on this show before, he bird dogs these guys. He just wrote that some doctor from the suburbs bought one of the smaller towers for $9 million, and he's going to turn into, guess what?
Yeah.
Offices and condos.
You got it.
And Duggan, in his State of the City, said, well, you can't turn these into living places because every one of these places needs a toilet, and to run the plumbing would be blah, 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 blah. That may or may not be true, but some doctor thinks he can do it.
Yeah.
So,
which means there's other people that think they can do it. So try and sell it first before you ask for a huge tax break.
Yeah. And the other thing is, maybe each tower has some different properties that make it more difficult to adapt. But Gilbert knew what he was buying when he bought it. And if he didn't buy it with a plan to make it work, he shouldn't have bought it.
Yeah, it's not why is it becoming the state's problem?
Well, see, I think that actually was the plan all along is I'll buy it and get these suckers to give me $250 million in tax credits, or I'll knock it down.
It's in a weird way. I don't blame him for asking. I mean, he's gotten everything else he's asked for.
And he's done a lot of wonderful things for the city. We can't say that the city is not better.
That doesn't mean he gets whatever he wants.
Exactly. It's not like you did me a favor, so now you can take my wallet. I mean, come on,
good
man.
point. Yeah.
So anyway, back to Hannah. Sorry, Hannah. You've been very patient. What is it that is at the top of Gilbert's wish list? Well, she has some suggestions. Insurance reform and record incentives tied to 4 construction projects were his top asks of Whitmer. New rumored construction project he will want state pork for. Maybe a 4th casino license? Maybe a transit proposal circling his real estate empire? If anyone has an inkling, it's you. Well, Hannah, you pay me high praise, and I'm sorry to disappoint you so grievously. I think Mark and I are onto something here with those tax credits. Yeah. The rest of it, I don't know, but we do know he will want something.
Mm-hmm.
Duggan and Gilbert apparently don't text. But do Duggan and Gilbert meet frequently, or do they chat on the phone? Just curious if there's a smoke-filled back room where they talk turkey, maybe at the DAC, or maybe Duggan swings by DG's mansion in the burbs for afternoon tea. By the way, do you predict Make Your Date and its cover-up will resurface in commercials and tar both Duggan and Benson via her lobbyist husband's involvement? So let me give you a little backstory on that. Make Your Date was a program that the city started in partnership with Wayne State to try and help women who have babies increase their survival rate, because we have a infant birth crisis in Detroit. Great program, exactly what the city needs. The problem is Duggan, instead of giving people a chance to bid on this or make proposals, just partnered with a woman who turned out to be his mistress, who is now his wife. And Ryan Fredericks, who is Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's husband. Benson, of course, is likely to be the Democratic nominee for governor and a Duggan opponent, was part of what some people believe is a cover-up, where people who exchanged emails on how Make Your Date would be done were told to delete those emails and so on and so forth. I think the Republicans have an issue here they can hit Duggan and Benson with. And when you can roll one grenade and blow up two people, yeah. I think Hannah's onto something. I think we will hear more about this at some point. But it all depends. It all depends who the Republican nominee is and what kind of campaign they run. Maybe they ignore these guys because they figure, let Duggan and Benson beat each other up. The two Democrats, one who betrayed the party and one who's holding the standard high. And then I just kind of keep my head down and walk right into the governor's mansion. I don't know, but we will see. And if you want to stay on top of this issue, what comes out with these Freedom of Information requests that were filed by the opposition researcher who, I will tell you, I'd make a pretty healthy bet we'll find out was hired by the Democratic Governors Association. Dan Afana is writing about that, and these records are coming out as we speak. So that's one more reason to subscribe to the Free Press for something like $1 for 6 months. I don't even know how the hell they're paying me at those rates, but there's more on that in the Free Press, and Hannah will always gratefully address your questions and all questions and concerns and criticisms and feedback that you send to us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. I'm all tuckered out.
Well, let's go then.
Big morning. Shawn's not here, so if Mark, can I ask a question? If you're watching us, so you're so mad, you see, can I ask a question?
The old Windsor move.
Is it time for Cyrus?
Yeah.
I think it is time for Cyrus. So Cyrus, you've been summoned. It's time for you to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You know what I do when I'm angry? I hit
Shawn Windsor.
Try that. Feel better?
Yeah, I do.
The Red Shovel Network presents Mark Fellhauer.
I couldn't do it last night.
Do you mean sexually?
No, I mean for the big game against Michigan State. Of course, sexually.
ML Elric.
I am here as his consigliere. You want a fresh one?
And Erica Erickson.
My wedding is ruined because you've got problems.
In the story of a podcaster who couldn't kill anymore and the psychiatrist who must cure him.
Get rid of the shrink, he knows too much already.
It's okay, I wasn't really gonna whack it.
Oh, all right, maybe I was gonna whack it, but I was real conflicted about it.
The Soul of Detroit.